everybody. Welcome out to our 7:30 live stream on Wednesday nights. Hopefully you're here to hang out with us and enjoy the good time. I think we got a good show lined up. Give it a second just to let people get on in here, and then we'll go from there. But before we get going, as always, please like and share the stream. It helps me, it helps you, it brings more people in. Also, while we're talking about it, make sure, do I sound okay, look okay before we get rolling into this? I don't want to get too far and then find out that the audio was all jacked up. So for my regular crowd, I want to again apologize for not showing up on Sunday night. I very rarely ever miss a live stream. But I had the unfortunate incident of the pipe in my kitchen bursting. And needless to say, I didn't want to spend money on the plumber. And it took me pretty much 7 hours to fix everything I needed to fix. So, needless to say, it wasn't a good day for me. But, you know, sometimes things come up and we just got to keep moving on, right? All right, cool. Everybody says it sounds great. Good. Drag, nice to see you, my brother. Glad you could make it. I know you said you were a little bit on the fence because it's late your time over there in Spain. Good to see everybody. So tonight, I figured, you know, last week, we went the route of the first in the United States professional tattooer. You know, all these things are kind of in question, right? Because, yeah, it might be first in the phone book or first, storefront. But we all know there are plenty of people were tattooing prior. It's the official first. So I figured, you know, did the United States, why don't we jump the pond and go over to England? The United Kingdom, previously known as Great Britain. So I figured it'd be a great topic to dig into tonight. I briefly touched base on Sutherland MacDonald during my George Burchett episode, which you can find on my channel, of course, if you'd like to see the full episode. It's one of my favorite ones, actually. But I suggest you check it out, of course. But, yeah, so we talked about Sutherland MacDonald, but we really didn't kind of dive deep into it. Damn, Sarah is firing right off the bat. Thank you, Sarah, for the super chat. We do have super chats on if you'd like to support the show. Much appreciated, as always, Sarah. But, yeah, I just figured, what the hell? Let's go over, head on over there and check out the first professional tattooer in the UK. I'm going to start off with a picture, and then I'm going to flip through some pictures as I read some stuff as well, just like we've been doing. You know, we seems to be pretty successful doing these shows. We did, Getchell. We had last week. So, you know, let's throw that up there for you. So this is an actual picture of Sutherland MacDonald. The picture that I used for the thumbnail was more of an example of his work. This is the picture that is, I guess it's like a tintype etching. I don't think it's a photo. It could be. I'm talking out of my ass. But I know for sure that this is Sutherland MacDonald. Amazing work, by the way, and I do have examples of that, which I will show you. But considering the time frame, this dude was throwing down some amazing work. Amazing. Obviously, I wish I could see him in color to see the colors. They didn't have access to a lot of different colors, but they did have some deviations in color. I would have loved to have seen it, but you could tell just from the pictures that I do have, the artistry is top tier. let's get into it real quick. So Sutherland MacDonald is an incredible figure in the history of body art. It is widely recognized as the first professional tattoo artist in Britain, whose inventions and professionalization efforts dramatically reshaped the perception and practice of tattooing in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Hailing from Victorian England, MacDonald not only pioneered the art form, but also elevated it to a respected profession. We're going to get into the elements that put him into that, more professional aspect down the line here. But this earned him the accolades and being known as the Michelangelo of tattooing. His contributions spanned technological advancements. Get into that in a second as well. Artistic refinement and strategic business practices that distinguished tattooing from his previously marginalized status. So basically what they're saying here is prior to this, it was, backroom sailors, yada, yada, yada. So Sutherland MacDonald was born June 25th, 1860 in Boundary Terrace, Leeds, Yorkshire, England. His initial exposure to tattooing occurred during his service in the British Army in the 1880s, but I believe it's actually 1870s, where he operated as a telegraph operator in the Royal Engineers. MacDonald's military tenure also included participation in the Anglo-Zulu War. Already possessing artistic talent, he readily acquired the craft of tattooing during this period. After his military service, MacDonald transitioned from an amateur to a professional tattoo artist, laying the groundwork for his groundbreaking career. So, this is one of the things that sets him apart. Just like we talked about O'Reilly with the patent in the United States, well, Sutherland MacDonald had a patent in the UK. And this is more along the lines of the dental plunger that Shane Enholm thinks is probably the first version of the tattoo machine. Not the O'Reilly version that we've seen in the patents. Shane is under the guise of, O'Reilly's patent, the way the parts moved, they moved on angles and stuff like that. This is more like a plunger. This would be a little bit closer to a rotary pen that we have today. And so he received the British patent in 1894. Patent number 3035. This invention, considered by some as the first electromagnetic tattoo machine, allowed for greater speed and precision in tattooing compared to traditional hand methods. While some sources suggest his machine might have had too many moving parts to be entirely practical, it undeniably marked a significant technological leap in the industry. In an 1895 article, the sketch described MacDonald's machine as making a somewhat strange whirring noise, highlighting its mechanical nature. So, there you go. I mean, not only was he a phenomenal artist, but he was an innovator. Because, excuse me, sorry. Let me take a swig out of my trusty mug. Believe it or not, I don't actually talk this much in real life. If you ever meet me in public, I'm pretty quiet until I get to know you. then I'll talk your ear off. But under normal circumstances, I'm like super quiet. I'm more one of those stay in the back, kind of observe type of people. But anyway, yeah, so with him being in the military, that's where he picked up learning how to tattoo. And then also, along with the Anglo-Zulu War, I'm sure he saw different body modifications there during that, war that, gave him ideas and whatnot for other types of tattooing. If you look here, he looked very detailed nature, snakes. There was definitely elements with, other nature aspects. I mean, look at the detail on that. That is crazy. That eagle, or that's not an eagle, but I'm not really sure what bird that is in the middle. That is phenomenal. I mean, the detail on that. See if I can blow it up a little bit for you guys, but crazy, right? I mean, if you look in the individual like feathers, the little parts on the talons and whatnot, for the time frame, I mean, you gotta figure, right? You can't judge it by what we see now because that's not fair. Judging it back then, early 1900s, late 1890s, we're dealing with machines that aren't anywhere near on the level that we're dealing with today. We're also dealing with ink that much different. So I always look at tattoos, especially from an older perspective, in a different light than today's. It's almost like music, right? So, every band out there could be like, oh, man, yeah, they sound like Led Zeppelin or, they sound like Jimi Hendrix. But in reality, I say this all the time. You imagine being in the room the day that they finished mastered like Led Zeppelin's first album, and you're the first person to hear Led Zeppelin. Your mind had to be like blown. Or, I don't know, The Who, the first time hearing the Who. You know what I mean? Like, there's some of those bands that you're just like, dude, it had to be mind-blowing. To me, this is the same type of thing where, this is a somewhat newer look, newer version of tattooing compared to all the primitive stuff that was out before. And then these guys are throwing in like museum quality pieces on people. So, whole new level. Let's get back into the notes. By 1889, MacDonald had established his first professional tattoo parlor, initially operating out of the Humam, H-A-M-A-M, Turkish baths, at 76 Germain Street in London. This location, situated in a fashionable area known for gentlemen clubs and shops, served as his primary studio for the remainder of his career. The establishment of this studio was a pivotal moment, as working as a tattoo artist in the Victorian England was previously an unheard of profession. Now, I do have this in there. Sorry. The significance of his professional establishment was further cemented in 1894 when the Post Office Directory, which is basically the Yellow Pages. Well, Jesus Christ, we don't even have Yellow Pages anymore. For you older folks, you used to get a book in the mail once a year, twice a year that would give you all the phone numbers listed. You could actually look it up and see who, we don't do that anymore. We just got a magic thing in our pocket that just, we could pull up any info we want. But they had to actually create a brand new professional category for him because there was no such thing. And for 4 years in that post office directory, he was the only person listed as a tattooist. Now, they called it a tattooist because they combined tattoo and artist together, making it tattooist, and that's what they had him listed as in the directory. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's something that we, would take for granted these days, but pretty awesome to think that that's, it started because of him. For 4 years, MacDonald remained the sole professional listed under this new category, underscoring his unique status as Britain's first professional tattoo artist working on paying customers from a dedicated studio. We call them shops, whatever. All right. So, I'm flipping around the notes here. MacDonald's contributions extended beyond establishing a professional studio. He was also a significant innovator, which we talked about with the machine patent that moved from hand tools or hand poke to electric tattooing. Beyond machinery, MacDonald expanded the artistic possibilities of tattooing through his innovative use of color. This is where I was saying I wish we could get color versions of these pictures because I would love to see what they looked like. He is widely credited with pioneering the incorporation of blue and green pigments into his work, colors previously considered difficult or impossible to achieve in tattoos. This broadened the tattooist's palette, moving beyond the traditional black and red inks of the era and allowing for more intricate and vibrant designs. MacDonald also integrated global artistic influences into his repertoire, offering designs such as Japanese dragons, which were popular during a period when Japan had opened up to Western trade. He was also known to use Japanese tools, including ivory handles for shading and heavy work, indicating a blending approach to his craft. So, we're going to get into the artistic style and range of designs, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a couple more cool pictures of some of this stuff. But I want to go back to this real quick. So this was actually a advertisement for, what's up, Lowe's? For Sutherland MacDonald shop on 76 Germain in London. Now, in this advertisement, you can actually see one of his, I want to say bodysuit, but it's obviously not a full covered bodysuit, but it's the same thing. And I do have the actual picture of that here. So that's what it looks like. I mean, again, I'm going to try to blow it up just so you can see a little bit better. But, yeah, man, that's some crazy detail. Especially, again, we're talking about the time period. Now, obviously, these aren't like super close-up, crisp pictures because, photography was not nowhere near what we're at today either. But you can still see that it's super clean, super crisp, and amazing artistic work as well. So, that's a cool little pic. What else did I want to show you guys? This is the picture that I used. I did not, actually. I was going to use this one because I initially had thought this was a picture of Sutherland MacDonald, but I could not verify that. I believe this is just an example of his work. The picture that I showed you guys previously where he's sitting down holding up a sketch is verified as a picture of Sutherland MacDonald. MacDonald's artistic style was deeply influenced by the prevalent artistic movements of his time, such as the Art Nouveau and arts and crafts movement. His designs frequently showcased intricate patterns, delicate floral motifs, and mystical creatures. He was celebrated for his meticulous attention to detail and his vibrant use of color, which was a notable departure from the monochrome tattoos commonly seen before his time. His shop offered a remarkably diverse range of designs gathered from all corners of the globe, appealing to varied tastes among his elite clientele. These designs included complex scenes like the Last Supper and fox hunts, alongside more traditional regimental badges, crests, snakes, lizards, and frogs. MacDonald also created tattoos featuring words in exotic languages such as Arabic and Burmese. One particularly famous work was a snake coiled around a dagger created for Lady Randolph Churchill, mother of Winston Churchill, symbolizing protection and inspired by her love for her son. Now, I have that in the notes. I talked about that during the episode that I did. I don't remember what the hell I called it. I'm gonna have to. I don't want to look into it. But I did an episode where we talked about. Oh, it was something about like famous people that are tattooed. That's sad. I can't even remember it. But I put out a lot of videos. I tried to show evidence of that tattoo, and there, one or two of those pictures, it did look like there was a tattoo on her forearm, with it like wrapping around her forearm, but there was like no definitive on that. Now, it would make sense considering the time frame that he was tattooing and her time frame. They match, so it is possible. I just, have it in here as my notes for today. But again, I don't think it's one of those things that's ever been verified. So I'll see you on Sunday, Drag. Thanks for stopping by, man. I know it's late out there in Spain. Much appreciated for the time you did get to spend tonight. And it's Sarah. I saw Sarah's comment. I used the yellow pages to find the tattoo studio I went to for my first one. There you go. I don't think too many kids these days know what a yellow pages was or is. Do they still have them? I know we don't get them anymore. They used to drop them off every year, and I haven't seen one in quite some time. I'm sure they do, but I don't know. So the artistry was so profound that one client reportedly had an engraving by landscapist John Constable tattooed on his body. I wish I could have found the picture of that. I think that would have been pretty awesome to see. MacDonald's talent extended to cosmetic tattooing, a practice far ahead of its time. He was known for realistically tattooing blush on women's faces, offering an early form of permanent makeup for those tired of constantly rouging her cheeks. This service, along with the detailed decorative tattoos, demonstrated his versatility and artistic breadth. Now, I know that Burchett also got into that, so I think that during the time frame in England, maybe particularly London, that was a big thing for the upper crust, the elites, the high society people. I don't think that would be something that the average person would get into. Now, the one thing that I will note, and I don't know if I have it in here, but, MacDonald and Burchett did cross paths. It's, Burchett came along a little later down the road, but at some point they did cross paths. I don't believe there was any rivalry or anything like that. I don't know if they were necessarily buddies, but they definitely crossed paths. So speaking of, doing cosmetics and, whatnot for the higher elites, Sutherland MacDonald's ability to attract and serve a distinguished clientele was instrumental in transforming the social perception of tattooing. His clients included members of the aristocracy, prominent society figures, and European royalty. He famously tattooed several of Queen Victoria's sons, as well as the kings of Norway and Denmark. Other notable figures who reputedly received his work include Grand Duke Alexis of Russia, Prince and Princess Waldemar of Denmark, Queen Olga of Greece, King Oscar of Sweden, the Duke of York, later King George V, and Duke Constantine, and then again Lady Randolph Churchill. Although some claims, such as tattooing King George V, have been debated by scholars like Matt Lauder. Again, Matt shows up because the dude is a freaking tattoo historian machine. I give the dude mad props, man. The association with royalty certainly fueled a tattoo craze among the European elite. The fact that crowned heads and famous people sought out MacDonald's studio on Germain Street for nearly 40 years speaks volumes about his reputation and quality of his work. This high-profile patronage dramatically shifted tattooing from its association with sailors, soldiers, and criminals to a fashionable pursuit and mark of cultural sophistication. So this is where we talk about, the ebb and flow of tattooing. It hit that peak, I should say, during the Victorian time, where it was the elites and the aristocracy that were getting tattooed, and then at some point it started to fall off, and then it got down to where we talk about the Bowery and stuff like that, where it's more of the lower level dregs of society types of people that are getting tattooed. And now we're obviously back on the upswing, where we now have famous, actors, athletes. I'm sure there's, congressmen, congresswomen that have tattoos. I mean, all kinds of political leaders. So it's not just, it's made quite the shift from, let's say, the 80s to now. Let's see here. So here's some more examples of his, I guess that would be kind of Japanese, but it's also very heavily nature oriented. You got the little boy fishing with the cherry blossom trees, the, mountains in the background. Looks like they're cranes up above. This is the snake that I showed you guys before. This is actually the top of that picture. You can see where the head of the snake and then also the frog. All very, very heavily detailed. I mean, I see some of these tattoos and I keep saying it, but it blows my mind. I mean, incredible work. MacDonald made deliberate and strategic efforts to professionalize tattooing and distinguish it as a legitimate art form. One significant aspect was the adoption of a professional appearance. He often wore a white coat, emulating the attire of medical professionals. This helped to cultivate an image of cleanliness, precision, and respectability, countering the rough and ready perception of earlier tattooing practices. A dramatic, difference between MacDonald and Cap Coleman. As high regard as we put Cap Coleman in, we put him on that Mount Rushmore of tattooing. He was known to bathe in a river, and he stunk, and he wore the same white t-shirt, undershirt, same pants, same hat. I mean, big differences, right? You got Sutherland MacDonald, who was walking around with a suit and a tie, would go to tattoo, he would put his white smock on. I mean, these guys were going full tilt, dude. They were trying to not only make it respectable, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact that if I look this way, I could, ask for higher monies to perform tattoos, make it more legitimate. That's just my, thoughts on it. His studio itself was designed to project an air of sophistication. Located in a popular Turkish bath, the shop also featured luxurious cushions and refined aesthetic that played into fashionable Orientalism, further attracting an elite clientele. So he was even going out of his way to make sure his, shop looked like it was high end. This carefully curated environment served to differentiate his practice from the back alleys where tattooing were often confined. Perhaps one of MacDonald's most enduring professional contributions was his linguistic innovation, coining the term tattooist, which we talked about with him getting tattooist put in to the Yellow Pages. Sutherland garnered immense respect and admiration from both his peers and the broader public during his career. George Burchett, another highly influential tattoo artist of the era, spoke glowingly of MacDonald, describing him as a well-spoken, intelligent, and gentle man who forged friendships with customers, treating them as equals. And Burchett's memoirs recount how, nearly 4 decades, crowned heads and famous people climbed the narrow staircase in Germain Street to visit MacDonald, to leave bearing some of the world's most wonderful ornaments ever placed on human skin. So damn, I mean, you know, you're getting high praises from George Burchett, who himself, you know, amazing artwork. There was also, I can't remember. So Sutherland MacDonald had a partner. I can't remember the guy's name. And there was a dispute that Burchett actually had purchased a machine from that gentleman. Now, I had that on 2 notes, but I couldn't find it anywhere else. So when I went to dig in to try to get more details on that, I actually reached out to Matt Lauder, and he said that he couldn't verify that. Now, the problem with that is, you know, there was a book of memoirs from George Burchett, and from what I understood from Matt, that book was not really on the up and up. You know, there were notes that he had taken throughout the years in like a diary kind of, and then the gentleman that wrote that book and pieced it together kind of took his own artistic, what's the word I'm looking for? Liberties. There you go. Artistic liberties to, you know, kind of craft the story a little bit more than probably what it was. So while it might be full of information, I don't know how accurate it is. And I trust Matt Lauder before anybody else. That's how much respect I have for Matt. Contemporary journalists and critics were equally impressed by his artistry. An 1897 article in London's Strand magazine declared, "No one in the past and no man living today can compare to MacDonald's in placing really artistic pictures on human skin." By 1900, his reputation had grown to such an extent that, I guess it's Lee Illustration, named him Michelangelo of tattooing, a testament to his profound artistic skill and his impact on the art form. MacDonald's ability to create intricate, detailed, and vibrant works, combined with his professional demeanor, cemented his standing as a leading artist of his time, transforming public perceptions of tattoos as art with a capital A. Pretty solid, man. Let's look at some more of these pictures. I really like this one. Unfortunately, that is about as big as I can make it. But if you could see that, you know, for you that are watching on a little tiny screen, I do apologize, but man, that is pretty goddamn amazing. That looks like a painting to me. So there's no doubt that the dude had like mad skills, man. You know, it's incredible work. Here's some more of his like floral work that he did. Now, obviously, these guys were doing the more floral, intricate stuff to bring in the female clientele, to get to the higher society women to come on in and get tattooed, because they were getting tattooed almost as much as men in the Victorian days. Another really cool picture of a, you know, looks like a family crest, or a regimental crest. super intricate, super clean. You know, again, more pictures that I wish we had color versions of, but this is the best I can offer you guys for tonight. Now, Sutherland MacDonald's legacy is a profound and continuous influence on the art and profession of tattooing to this day. He not only elevated the status of tattooing as a legitimate art form, but he also paved the way for future generations of tattoo artists in Britain and beyond. His innovations in technology, particularly his electric tattoo machine, revolutionized the efficiency and artistic possibilities of tattooing, making more complex and detailed designs achievable. The expansion of the tattoo palette with blues and greens pioneered by MacDonald significantly enriched the visual language of tattoos, inspiring artists to experiment with color. His commitment to professionalism demonstrated through his medical style attire, sophisticated tattoo studio aesthetics, and coining the term tattooist, set new standards for the industry. This focus of professionalism helped dismantle the negative stereotypes associated with tattooing, making it acceptable and even fashionable among broader segments of society. His influence extended to notable apprentices and contemporaries such as George Burchett, who became known as the King of Tattoo, or King of Tattooists, and continued MacDonald's tradition of catering to royalty and disconcerting clientele. So, you know, there are some books out there. There aren't a lot, but I did find on Bezel Books right now. It's called The Pioneers of British Tattooing. I'll show it to you all real quick in case anybody's interested in possibly picking it up. I know that, you know, I saw Lal Hardy actually promoting this book, Pioneers of British Tattooing. There we go. And boom. There you go. On Bezel Books. Now, the book is $150, but it's 249 pages written by Terry Manton. This is a new book written on British tattoo history, or by British tattoo historian Terry Manton. Will introduce the reader to the pioneering ladies and gentlemen who earned their living from tattooing during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Not just the well-known tattoo artists such as Sutherland MacDonald, Tom Riley. Tom Riley was the guy. So that was the guy in question that sold the machine to George Burchett. There was I couldn't find any like definitive evidence on that, and Matt Lauder couldn't as well, so I just dismissed it. Alfred South and George Burchett, but lesser-known pioneers of electric tattooing like George Bigamore, Charlie Bell, Bill Mansford. So there's a whole slew of tattoo artists that are covered in this book, but this is one of those books that I actually will have on my list for Christmas this year, because to me, it's got a lot of heavy-duty details in it, and I think it would be definitely worthy of me reading and taking a look for further research down the road. You know, as we get later into the years with tattooing, I have much more luck finding information and or pictures. So that is a huge benefit once we, you know, get out of these early stages of tattooing. I showed you guys the bird, but check that out. I mean, that kind of looks like something that would be on the Sistine Chapel, no? I mean, very delicate, clean, super clean lines, but it just has that painting, that dimensional, like soft look to it. I would love to see a better picture of that, but I'll try to blow it up for y'all. I mean, that's pretty impressive, considering it was probably 1890s, 1900s. So, amazing work, man. I mean, you know, Yes, I picked it because it was considered, Sutherland MacDonald's the first professional tattoo artist in Britain, but the man's work stands on its own. Uh, you could put all the caveats aside. Patented the UK's first tattoo machine, first professional tattooist. Put all those caveats aside. The dude's work itself is worthy of, having this discussion. So that's just my 2 cents. Trying to see if I had any more pictures in here that I didn't show you guys. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah. So how many of you out there in internet land have heard of Sutherland MacDonald? Just curious. I know that there's some that watch our show that are very well versed in tattoo history, but I think that there's probably not a lot of people that don't know who he is. Yeah, Andres Ortiz. What's up, man? Nice to see you back, dude. Just said, to this day, I could tell European traditional tattoos for how delicate they can be. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, I mean, that picture where it looks like, something that was off of the Sistine Chapel. I mean, that's got that soft, delicate, three-dimensional kind of look to it. It just, I know we have like hyper realism stuff now that's mind blowing. I don't know. You're always like, oh man, well, how can you get any better than that? And I'm sure we will eventually, somewhere down the line, right? Like it'll get better. But you got to figure, man, when you see these pictures of these tattoos and the time frame that it came from, and then where tattooing kind of like jumped off in the United States, and you do a side-by-side comparison, you all know I'm a die-hard American traditional guy. I like all tattoos, don't get me wrong, but where my heart is. My heart is American traditional. So for me to say this, but these guys over in the UK, Europe, dude, I think they had the upper hand on tattooing. If we were to do a side-by-side comparison of the time frames, yeah, I would say that these guys were doing, their work was just a tier higher than what was being done here in the U.S. Just my 2 cents, man. It's my opinion only. What else do I have here? So the Sutherland MacDonald's artistry and designs are preserved through a wealth of photographic records and archival documents. These historical artifacts, many from the Copyright Office at Stationers Hall, served as early registrations of his unique tattoo images. An example includes the copyrighted tattoo of Psyche in armor on the back of Captain's study, showcasing MacDonald's effort to protect his artistic creations. So I guess he was copywriting some of his work way back then. Photographs of his designs provided crucial insights to the depth of color, intricate detail, and nuanced texture that his admirers attributed to his works. These records reveal a diverse portfolio ranging from complex Japanese dragons and reproductions of famous paintings like The Last Supper to various animal and coats of armors. Such images are invaluable for understanding the evolution of tattoo artistry in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. MacDonald's work and legacy have been featured in significant museum exhibitions, thank you, bringing his historical importance to wider audiences. Exhibitions such as British Tattoo Art revealed at the National Maritime Museum in Cornwall, on view from So now, Okay, Tattoo London at the Museum of London opened. So I wanted to see that, but it was gone by like a year when I went. I would have loved to have seen that exhibit. But Sutherland MacDonald passed away on June 18th of 1942 at his home on 3 Guildford Ave in Surbiton, London. Surbiton? Surbiton. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. And is buried in the Surbiton Cemetery. I'm probably saying that wrong. I wish Stephen Street was on, or Tommy. I'm sure they'd be correcting me right now, since they're from that area. His children erroneously listed him as his profession as watercolor artist on his death certificate. He's considered a pioneering career as Britain's first professional tattoo artist. There you go. His remarkable life and work continue to inspire, demonstrating how one individual's vision and dedication can transform a marginalized practice into a celebrated art form. I don't know. What did you guys think? Was it interesting? Did you dig it? I know that these episodes are more me kind of like reading off notes to you all, and I try to give you visualizations, but part of that is I want to just make sure that I'm trying to give you guys accurate information. There are going to be people that are going to watch these and, hopefully glean some information from the stuff, but I found it interesting. Like I said, for me, it was, okay, man, we did the first U.S. professional. What about doing the first UK professional, or British, England? I don't know if this is something that I could keep moving on with and like be like the first Canadian, the first Australian. I don't know. I mean, I could dig. We'll see what happens. Moderator Nikki said definitely more fragile looking. Yeah, I mean, it's got some pretty amazing work, but I want to go through and make sure I say hello to everybody. We got Chris Hawkins in the house hanging out with us. We got our moderator, Nikki. OG Sarah hanging. Drag was in. I know he had to dip out. He is in Spain, so he had to leave a little early, which is cool. I'm actually shocked he even stopped in tonight. We got Luz hanging out. What's up, man? From Mexico hanging out. Luz has actually been sending me cool pictures of him and an artist down in Mexico, and with Zeke Owens. I know that Luz is hardcore into Zeke. Who else we got hanging out with us tonight? I know we have people watching right now that aren't in chat, which is fine, man. We're okay with that. We do like to have our people, at least give a shout out in chat so we know you're here hanging out. But if you want to be quiet, that's cool. We're okay with that. Everybody's welcome. The more the merrier. But, yeah, so I think I'm going to continue to do these on Wednesday nights. Now, I always try to book them out for an hour. Sometimes they're going to be short. Sometimes maybe they'll be a little bit longer. Depends on how much information I can glean. I do want to give you guys that are our regulars a quick heads up, though. We will be on Sunday, and we will be on Wednesday next week. So this Sunday we're on. Wednesday we're on. The following Sunday, I don't think we're going to be doing a live stream. I have to check the dates. Let me just double check that now while we're talking about it. Yeah, so we will be on the 12th, which is this coming Sunday, the 15th, which is next Wednesday, and then I will be away, and we won't be back until the 26th. So just a quick heads up for y'all. I will be on vacation, and I do not plan on taking any of my gear with me to do any live streams. I will have a surprise, though. It's just not going to be an official live stream. Dug it. This guy definitely put in some work for tattooing overall, elevated the game to a global stage in some ways with the eyeballs that he attracted. For sure. And, I think that that's one of the coolest things about the tattooing scene over there, right? You know, you got guys like Cook that were sailing all over the world because, Great Britain was, conquering lands all over. Uh, so, you had that aspect of it where those guys were coming back into port, getting tattooed in other places, or being on ships with guys that learned how to tattoo. And, it was only a matter of time before that started to spread to the rest of society. It just happened to fall on the plate of some, high end people. Especially when you're talking about kings from Denmark and Norway getting tattooed. Um, King George getting tattooed. I think that when King George may have gotten his first tattoo, actually, I take that back. I'm thinking of the guy from Russia, the Tsar Nicholas. He went to the Orient and got tattooed. But yeah, Sarah, I appreciate that. Like I said, we will be here for Sunday and next Wednesday. The following Sunday, I will not be on. I think I'm going to try to do a live stream from Sailor Jerry's original shop. It'll be brief. It'll be short. But I'm going to try to do some tattoo history stuff while I'm in Hawaii. I also plan on meeting up with another gentleman who is a tattoo artist in Honolulu. He invited me to stop in to check out his shop and talk to him a little bit. But yeah, so it's not that I don't plan on having any tattoo stuff, done, but I won't be able to live stream, and I might be able to do like a quick vertical live stream, like a short live stream, using my phone, especially if I run into anybody cool, and we'll do that. So it won't be anything pre-planned though, that week that I'm gone on vacation. But I appreciate you all hanging out with me tonight. I know we're ending a little bit short tonight, but that's okay. I appreciate each and every one of you guys hanging out and sharing your time with me. I do appreciate it, truly. If it's not for you guys, then I don't have a channel. So you guys are allowing me to do something I love to do, which is awesome. But I hope you have a safe, happy rest of your week. For you regulars out there, we'll be here Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And for you people that aren't regulars, make sure you check us out on Kick or YouTube Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time for our regular Two Fat Guys in a Tattoo Shop podcast. Peace out. Have a good night.